Hey everyone, Kyle here, still doing a video journal here for MIBOLC, Military Intelligence BOLC, at Fort Hauchuca, Arizona. And still, we're about halfway through this crazy endeavor that we're on, and yeah, still working through the defense portion. Really, as far as I understand it, it's broken into two parts. We have the defense part, and then we'll be moving into offense here soon. And then I think, I don't know, I'm still a little vague on what's ahead of that, but as we move out of defense, we had a big mission analysis brief. Was one of the big, I don't want to call it a test, but one of the milestones, I guess, of being here, and it's such a complicated beast that I don't know if I want to even try to explain it on here, because I think if you're here for MIBOLC, it'll look super confusing for most of the beginning part, and we'll eventually start to piece by piece make sense by the time you have to do it. So really my biggest hints with that are just to ask questions, try to understand what's going on, try to understand the pieces, even if you aren't really understanding the big picture, because it'll eventually come together in the big picture. And again, like I know I've mentioned before, one of my critiques of the class here is that I think there could be more looking at the big picture. Like, I don't think we've had any examples really on how to do a mission analysis brief, and I think part of that is because when you get to your units, it can be dependent on your command and how exactly they want it done. But I would have found it a little helpful to have, I guess, some examples of a good mission analysis brief from beginning to end, maybe recorded or something like that. So that would be nice. So the big picture, yes, might be confusing, vague throughout, but it starts to come together. But I know for the mission intelligence brief, it's really simple. You're not simple, but it's simply your IPB steps 1 through 4. So for that, we defined the operational environment, and so we talked about things that happened in that operational environment. Not getting in too many details, but political things, military things, social things, economic things that were going on in that environment before this particular operation happened. And then we have the SIGACs, the significant actions that took place right around the action right before the operation took place. Then we have our area of operation, we define that. Our area of interest, we define that also. And then we move into IPB Step 2, which is describe the environmental effects on the operation. So we analyze the weather, we do weather summary, we do a terrain analysis, and talk about our civil considerations, a summary of that. And our biggest critique as far as that's concerned is whoever you're briefing, they'll want to know the so what about that. So you don't just tell them about the weather or the civil considerations. They want to know how those things are going to affect their operations. So from there we move on to IPB Step 3, and again IPB is just the intelligence preparation of the battlefield. But IPB Step 3, which is the evaluation of the threat. So we look at their forces, the threat's forces. We look at the order of battle, which is the breakdown of what units and assets and mobility and capabilities they have. And we look over that, whatever attachments they have. So we go over that. We talk about their tactics and options. And so for this, we at least covered their most likely course of action and their most dangerous course of action, and the strengths and weaknesses of either of those and the high value targets associated with those. I know that all sounds easy, but there's a lot of stuff involved in all of that. So we also go on to determining the threat, course of action, and the information collection requirements. So we have an event template that will talk about the NAIs, which is the named area of interest that we're looking for, that will signify, and the things in those areas indicate what course of action the threat is taking. So we'll talk about that, and then we'll do how we're going to get those answers to those questions, so our information collection. So we'll go over what information collecting assets that we have in the unit, our friendly unit, plus our brigade unit, and we will map out how those are going to be utilized on the battlefield, and how what requests that we'll have to make to hire to the brigade, on what units that we're going to use, and who's going to be watching what, and etc. All of that, which is also part of the information collection matrix. So I know it sounds complicated, and it is, but by the time you get there, it'll all start to make sense. This is really the second time that we'll have done this, and we'll be doing it a few more times moving ahead. So I'm assuming it'll continue to make greater and greater amounts of sense. So really, we've used a lot of textbooks, but and there's nothing, we've not done anything classified, and so all these textbooks are unclassified and available on the internet. You just have to Google them. But the intelligence preparation of the battlefield is the ATP 2-01.3. Again, intelligence preparation of the battlefield, ATP 2-01.3. And ours is the November 2014 edition. But really, that is talks about the IPB steps, which is all about, I mean, that's what MI, military intelligence, is really focusing on, because that's the mission analysis part of the military decision-making process. So, super important, and really that's the main focus, as far as I understand it, of what we've been doing here, and what what's ahead. I know there's still other things ahead, but this is still the center core of that, as far as I can understand. If that's not it, then I'm not understanding, I guess, where this animal is heading. But still, make sure you practice. Make sure you understand what you're presenting, what you're briefing. It's good to understand what everybody else is briefing, and again, if you're not understanding that, ask your classmates, ask teachers, stuff like that, because you don't want to, if you really don't understand, you're going to get lostier moving forward. Yeah, that's all I was going to talk about now. Any questions, feel free to ask and comment, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks, bye.